Over to you.
Recording.
Thanks.
All right. So before we jump, let's take a quick glimpse how the meeting is organized today. So next 1 hour, first section you'll see introduction to Citizen Automation StudioX, and also we'll see how to install and set your environment with StudioX. The second section will see the building blocks. When you think for task automation development, what all key components is bringing to StudioX is bringing in front of us, which helps to develop this task automation. And we'll do a live build a bot, like we'll develop live two scenarios, use cases together, and then we'll close this on Q&A. So before I move for introduction, let's launch a poll before, which just to understand our audience, how many of you really understand RPA? So if you can just answer this quickly. Okay. 57% voted. 16 response so far. We are missing 5%. So if you can respond your answer.
So, but still, yeah, majority of thing, I think they know what RPA is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we can end the poll. So the poll result looks, all of you are aware of RPA. That's really great. So let's publish the poll result. All right. Okay. So with that, we'll start. Good to know all our audience is aware what exactly automation and RPA is. And next, before we go forward, I'll try to play a video, and let's see how bot for everyone, a citizen automation is coming in front of us, which is helping in terms of as a digital assistant along with our day-to-day work, improve our productivity. So let me play this video with my computer.
Here's some food for thought. During the silent movie era, Warner Brothers studio head Harry Warner said, "Who the hell wants actors to talk?" In 1943, Thomas Watson, chairman of IBM, said, "I think there is a world market for 5 computers." And this from a Decca recording executive to a new band called the Beatles. "We don't like your sound, and guitar music is on the way out." The point is that it often takes believing in seemingly crazy ideas to grow and scale an enterprise. And scaling is really just another word for imagination, for daring. Robotic process automation is the fastest growing sector in tech. To date, RPA has deployed over 5 million robots across 2,500 enterprises. And it's growing every day. Now, most companies are just getting started, but those who have begun are changing the way they work. Of course, the history of the world is the history of underestimating the power of what could be. A robot for every person in your company? That's just crazy, right?
Great. One key thing to take from here is work is history, and think about how much automation we can think of our regular day-to-day work, so that a robot for every person can bring the real value add during our day-to-day work. So with that particular concept, it brings us a new era in terms of citizen-led automation or citizen automation, which is possible through StudioX today, which is UiPath offering a new tool, which comes with a studio installation itself. It's not a separate installer, but what StudioX is helping us on our day-to-day work, we are coming across various tasks which may not be a process-specific scenario. When we'll understand task and process, but we're coming across various tasks which is mundane, and it is really taking out a lot of time. Which mundane means we are doing it repeatedly over and over, but sometimes it is may not be qualifying to be a proper RPA or regular automation development. If you see, most of our RPA automations which we do for business is focused towards process automation. We are thinking of ROIs, we are thinking of how many headcount it saves. It should be end-to-end, a bigger complex process. Then we qualify or disqualify, say, oh, this is really a value add work. Then we are evaluating and considering this for automation opportunity. But out of that, there are so many scenarios which being cornered because of it is the nature of the automation is very low, and it's not a process, but it's a task. With StudioX, you will be able to consider those scenario and enable business with this tool, which brings the capability of no code automation, where you don't need to learn a coding skill. Let's say C sharp, VB script, which inline support, or maybe some programming technology like exception handling or different variables, data types, all these concepts. And without having those concepts in place, this tool is enabling business to develop their task, develop the automation solution for their task, and make the work productive. So that's where the citizen automation come into picture, where citizen developers are nothing but a business user or experts who are focused towards their day-to-day work, or let's say someone from business, let's finance process, focused towards invoice processing, having little knowledge in technical, no knowledge on technology, but with StudioX, they will be able to automate their invoice processing task. So one particular word I'm repeating again, process and task. So it is very important to know what is in scope for StudioX, what general scenarios it covers, and what technology it is focused. So the tasks are very, it will be a sub part of the entire process. The general scenario it covers is, let's say, data movement between applications. Think about a scenario. You have Excel where all the data is row by row information is saved, and there is a S4 system or SAP where team need to copy paste the data. So data movement between Excel and SAP. That's one task. Or maybe filling out a template. There will be many standard templates defined. Uh, let's say one general entry form or payment report, or some of the predefined forms where they're just reading the data from some source system, writing into a standard template. That's also filling out a template. Maybe a reconciliation, validation, merging, splitting of files. Most of the MEC and QEC work, what happens across the enterprise, and also creating a PowerPoint presentation with some reference data. There are certain templates being defined. If the PowerPoint templates are defined, you have some source saved, the data can be written to a PowerPoint. All these common scenarios can be automated through StudioX. Looking at this, if you think, okay, it may be focused towards a very simple application, not complex, that's not the case. When it comes for a technology focused, it can still automate almost everything. Like you can automate the application which is installed on your machine, the thick client to desktop and web, or it can also integrate seamlessly to Office suites, which make our Microsoft Excel, Outlook, Word, PowerPoint. All this is possible through StudioX, which comes out of box with a seamless integration, which we call as activities, or maybe a file system interaction or PDF interaction. You do all these are possible, and it has the recorder concept where you continue to do desktop or web automation the way we were doing in Studio, but it still enables us to interact with these technologies. Now, there are certain terms and technology come into picture when we worked with automation like Studio, StudioX, Unattended, and Attended. To unpack this technology and understand this better, Studio and StudioX both are coming under the Studio family. So Studio, even it can be Studio and Studio Pro as well, which is the target audience for this particular tool is the which is coming a regular automation developers, RP, the bot developers who are having a background with programming knowledge, who understand programming concepts like, as I was mentioning, let's say language, C sharp, maybe, or programming terms like variables, data type, and all complex scenarios. StudioX is intended towards a business user who are having no knowledge about programming, but it enables with no code automation. Studio is a platform which is it's low code automation, but StudioX is completely no code. Unattended automation, which as the name suggests, these are basically when you say in RPA world where you have the process which is automated, is run 24/7 in a virtual environment without having some human supervision in place. No one is monitoring these bots. They're running 24/7 scenarios with where the user, as the end user, you're just providing some input, and the bot executes in a remote machine and returning you back the result for the output. So what the execution happen in background is not being supervised by anyone. But when it comes for attended automation, this runs along with the user. As the name suggests, there is a attended or the human user is representing or maybe working along with the bot who are responsible to trigger the automation, and that's where it start working. So that's where these tools terms come into picture. But when you do a quick comparison between StudioX and StudioX, as we just discussed, just a kind of recap, is for business user, which brings the citizen developers, and it's for RPA developers, no code, completely intuitive level, error handling, and all these scenarios. But it is low code. It can still enable you to create some complex automation. It is not right to say StudioX is completely replacing Studio is still be a process automation tool, whereas StudioX is a task automation tool. And you will see Studio is bringing those complex scenario where it turns a complex process automation and bring more value add. And it is easy to find and use automation activities. It's pretty simple. It comes with very much integrated activities, seamless integrations to, like as you said, Microsoft Suites, or maybe now you say there will be say, Outlook integration. All this comes with the default activities. We'll see in our future sessions how it is easy for you to connect with all these technologies. But Studio brings us more activities panel. Even we can bring all different uh, skills by building in-house custom activities and all. And it has a lesser capability, but its Studio is having full-fledged recorder where it brings all different citrics and other things into picture. Studio X output is intended towards attended, Studio intended towards attended, unattended. But if you ask me a question, if can a Studio X output can use as unattended, answer is yes, because as I said, both are part of Studio family. When you publish, it can be converted back to unattended, but based on, as we know, the output has to be structured. In on Studio regular development, we use some RE framework, some structured approach. So all this has to be quoted on top of the existing code, so it can be reused and structured in a way to make it production ready. But the StudioX file can be opened in Studio and reused further. One of the key terms to understand while we are proceeding is what is the step, task, and processes. Because we understand so far, okay, Studio is intended for process automation, Studio is intended for StudioX is intended for task automation. So it's very important to understand how these are all interlinked. As I was telling a scenario, I'll go with the bottom of approach. Like first is process. Think about, okay, you have a system where you're interacting with various applications. Let's say I have input coming to Outlook mail. Usually is extracting that input from Outlook, doing a data extraction and writing into a S4 system or SAP, taking out the report, doing some validation, computing some tax calculation over there, and then returning by the reconciliation report back to business. The entire process is becoming a process. This entire step is a process. Like you are doing a multiple task in middle. This brings the concept of process. But when you see the task, this is nothing but a subset of the entire process. You will find it describes series of steps, which giving some resolution or maybe performing some kind of automated task, which is meaningful, achieving some scenario. Let's say merging two Excel file and saving into a final draft, or maybe you are just downloading all the attachment from an Outlook email, or maybe you're prioritizing the email based on some content. So all is becoming a task. A steps is as some smaller part, which is again group of steps makes a task, right? So it steps is nothing but it is action which require to accomplish specific or define a purpose of the steps. For example, downloading an Excel or reading some email. That those are the scenario will fall under your steps. If you see, the steps are the small chunk which combinedly becomes a task, and which again multiple tasks being a process. But StudioX is intended where we are not focusing towards process to which brings more multiple related tasks and multiple complex scenario, but we will focus towards a task. The reason being most of you, maybe those part of our regular RPA developer for those, you see in process automation, what we do is we create multiple modular files, multiple YAML files, or create multiple workflows, call those into one main files. But in StudioX, you will have only one workflow, this main YAML, where you will do all the automation. You don't have that modularized concept. So that's why it is all structured in that way. So before we proceed now, I'll just play a short video in terms of what StudioX, what we so far understood on StudioX, how it is really helping. So just get the complete audio.
Are you doing the same boring thing over and over again, filling out reports, sending notification emails, moving data from one application to another? This is not something one gets excited about, is it? But wait, you just heard that this work can be automated. What a great idea! You can now hand this over to a software assistant to do the work for you, making you more productive and resulting in more accurate work. When you reach out to your company's RPA developers, they start talking about return on investment, number of hours saved, and all those metrics. But this is such a simple task, it would never fit their criteria. What if you had a tool that would allow you to visually develop your automation without any coding needed? Just drag and drop, and the reports fill themselves. StudioX is a new automation development tool that allows you to easily build small task automations, run them locally, and save yourself a ton of hours of boredom. With its intuitive interface, simple templates to get you started, and a very detailed documentation and free academy course, StudioX is the perfect tool for business users who want to get started with automation. Your department colleagues are facing the same type of tasks as you. The great news is you can share your automation with them and help them out as well. Did you hit upon a gold mine, a process that everyone in the company wants to have? Hand over your file to the Center of Excellence. Here, an RPA developer can open it in Studio, slightly adjust it for wider distribution, and share with the entire workforce. Now that you've got the hang of it, what is the next project you want to tackle to make your life easier?
Right. So hope this bring your thought into what is StudioX, what we just discussed, how it is helping us, who are the target audience, let's say business user, or maybe a SME or process who is working, but it is bringing that capability of task automation. So that way it will help. But yeah, more to come. So we'll see those practical scenarios so that we can bring the thoughts around. Now, the very immediate step which comes to our mind is how do I set up this in my machine, right? So how do I configure StudioX in my machine? So there will be two type of user will come into picture. One is, let's say we have team member who are already having a studio installed. You want to practice it. How do you switch? This can be possible with your own installer already, which is there in Studio. Go to Home Settings, click on License and Profile, and View Change Profile. There is option StudioX. You can switch your environment from Studio to StudioX. Those who are coming new, who are not installed, so you can directly download from this link, which is there. I will save this link. Or else you can go to Cloud Portal, cloud.uipath.com. Let me show you a live scenario while I'm explaining this. I'll reshare my screen at full screen mode. Go to Cloud Portal, log in with your account. If you have not created your account, you can sign up with your account. I'm just signing up with my account. So choose your account. So I'll go to my test portal. So this is my test portal. So okay. So once you log in, so you can go to Resource Center. Within Resource Center, you can see these links, download preview. You can download this community edition, which will give you a community version which doesn't need any license. But as per company policy, if there is an enterprise version available to your company, you can collect it from your COE team and get this download. The download remains same. But remember, your installers would be different. It's a community installer. But if it is an enterprise version, if your company is managing that, you can collect the enterprise version from COE. So that will be a separate installer. So once you download this particular copy, you can go to, I have already downloaded one copy. So this is the community installer, it will be download. Just right click, we run as administrator. This installation is pretty simple. You just need to click next. Rest all will be by default, it will be fetched. Only thing is once your installation is done, the first thing is you need to open your UiPath Studio and choose the option to activate your community license. As I already have Studio installed, so I will skip that step, but I'll show you how do you install it. Just right click and click on install. The steps will start. Okay, so it's basically installing the configuration and all. So you can see the progress below. Maybe you see, okay, what is happening? You see there is a below, there's a blue, green color icon. It's moving. It says, okay, the installation is processed. So now it will face the license and the activation is, it will process. Now, for if maybe if you connect to download it, you will see an option there as a community. As I already have a license ready and active. It's not showing me, but you'll see a face the license from community, and you can do that. So create a cloud portal and do this setup. Download this particular from the resource center, this installer, and your license will be activated. Once your license is activated, you can go to your start menu, click on UiPath Studio. So that will bring your StudioX interface. Let me show that. So I just activated my community one. So it's not prompting me directly, but once Lovely will take you to that practical session, you can see. But this is the way to start your studio tool. Just go and start the studio from the tray. It will face the StudioX interface for you. I'm just trying one more time if I can face that. It's just asking me again to connect that. I have an enterprise installer which needs those activation. This is the steps to activate your license. Okay, now a few more things. Once your installation is done, you can always, the first step is once your login is done, you'll see the screen on in front, like this is your StudioX interface, how it comes. First step, you go and install few add-ins, which is under tools. The first add-in to install is Excel add-in, which is mandatory because it interacts with Excel by default. It has a default file. In our future session, you'll see we have dedicated session aligned, which is dedicated for Excel, different activities. You'll see those steps, how to do all these Excel add-in. This is a mandatory step. And you start creating a workflow. If any problem and challenges, we have forums where you can publish those questions. Our team will be actively monitoring, including a product team, get the feedback. With that, I'll now hand over this particular stage to Lovely, who will take us through in terms of various building blocks, what different activities, what different functions, what different layout come when you interact with the tool more with a live working session. Over to you, Lovely. I'll stop sharing. Maybe you can take.
Thanks, Rishira. Yeah. I'll share my screen. Hope it is visible to everyone.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So after you install the StudioX, you will be landing up to an interface. And StudioX has been designed in an intuitive way to allow you to navigate easily and build your projects without having any prior coding knowledges. Okay. So once you open the UiPath StudioX in your system, you will see two views. First is called as Backstage, the second Designer view. So let's take each of them one by one. So Backstage view is the view when you first open the StudioX. So after you install the StudioX, you will see this particular view in the UiPath StudioX. Okay, and there are different tabs which is available. So open, in case if you would like to browse to an automation project, then you can choose open button. Similarly, if you would like to close the automation project, then you can refer the close button. To start with your first project, you have to go to the start tab and choose the blank task. Okay, so you can create a new task automation project or open the recent access project from this open recent tabs. We have another tab called as tools. So in case if you are looking forward to install the different add-ins So if you're working with the browsers, Edge or the Chrome, you can install the extensions from the Tools section. In StudioX, we have an exclusive extension called as Excel add-in. So whenever you are looking forward to automate in an Excel, you have to ensure that you install the Excel add-in before creating a process. Okay. Settings, you can change the look and feel of the StudioX. You can change the theme, you can change the language. The help section basically directs you to the product documentation, the release notes, the online resources. You can also connect to our UiPath Academy. Okay. So this we have already discussed in the Backstage View. So let me also open the UiPath StudioX and show you live. So here it is. You can, so right now I have just opened one project. So I can choose a close button and close the existing project. Okay. So like I showed, the different tabs like tools where you can install the different UiPath extensions. And this is the one I've talked about regarding an Excel add-in. Similarly, if you're looking forward to automate any particular flow in Chrome applications, then you can must install the extensions before you start with the project. Okay. So by clicking in an extension, you will be able to install it. Okay. So I'll just cancel it for now. Settings, you can choose the different languages theme here, and the help section can help you to install the go to the academy as well as the community forums. You can also go to the product documentation where in detail instructions would be provided for each activities which is available in the UiPath StudioX. Okay. So when you create a new task, you will be able to see the another view which we talked about as a designer view. Sorry. Okay. So the backstage view is the one when we open our StudioX. The second view comes as in when you create a new task or a new process. Okay. So this is called as design view. And when you open a design view, you have a ribbons. So there are multiple options like save, you have project notebook, manage packages. We will see these options in detail in our upcoming sessions. Okay, so let's start by showing how to create a blank task, and then we'll go deeper inside the designer view. So I go to the blank task, okay, and then provide our process name. So let's take the test one. In the locations, so this is the location where your project file will be available. It is by default. You can set or customize according to your directory. For your process, you can also add a description in the description option. You can provide a liner for your process. Click on create. Okay. So once you create a task, you will be able to see the designer view. Okay. And this is the ribbon which I talked about. There are 4 important panels in the designer view. First, activities panel. So activities are those actions that you want to perform. Okay. So if you say that I want to automate an Excel, then you can refer the different categories which is available in this activities panel section. Okay. So there are multiple categories. So if you are looking to automate the app or the web applications, you can refer the app web category. In case if you're looking forward to automate an Excel, you can refer the Excel category. So this gives the developer a clear understanding that what are the tasks or operations that you want to perform or you want to automate. Okay. So in this panel, you will see that activities that can be added to your project. Okay. In case if you do not find any activities that is related to your preferred application, you can go to the Manage Packages section to download the respective packages or the respective father of these activities. Okay, so let's say I am working in an SAP and I do not have the sections available, then you can go to the Manage Packages and search for the SAP. Okay, so here you will see that there are numerous packages available and it has been deployed by the developers, the UiPath itself. So you will find all the external as well as UiPath official packages available here. So you can see that the author is the UiPath. So these are the official packages provided by the UiPath. Okay. Now we have seen this activities panel where we see the resources and the actions category. So in UiPath StudioX, since we say that it is useful for those who are not coming from a coding background. So in case if you're looking forward to automate any such applications, you start with the resources to identify that which type of automation you are doing, and then you perform the different actions. So we will see this in the detail. So for now, just understand there is something called activities panel. The next panel which we have is a designer panel. Okay, so it is the canvas where you actually create your automation. So you see there is an option called drop activity here. So you can drag and drop the activities in the designer panel. Okay, so you can either drag and drop or you can double click on the activities to add the certain activity in this format. Okay, so in case if you're looking forward to add more activities, you can double click on it. Now, since we know that there can be a different configurable parameter that you have to set in your automation task, like input and output for each activity. So there is a properties panel which is quite important, and for every activities you would see that there are different properties that needs to be set. Okay, so if you hover over any such parameters, you will definitely see the explanation that what does it mean, and you can provide the input accordingly. Okay, so this panel basically enables you to view or edit the properties of each activities. Okay, and the fourth panel, which you call it as output panel, it displays the information regarding execution of the project, any errors which you come across while executing the bot, or the warnings or the information or the trace information that you would like to see here. So in case if you are willing to track the type of data which you are passing from one activity to the another, you can make use of certain activities to print it in this output panel. Okay, so just remember, if in case you're looking forward to display the information, you can use output panel extensively. Okay, so let's go to the slide. So we can see that there are different tabs available in this activities panel: the Excel, Word, CSV, Outlook, file, and depending on the type of automation, you can search for the actions based on the category. Okay, designer panel, where we actually create our automation. So we have also seen it in the StudioX. Properties panel, for each activities you can set the parameters output panel to display the output in this particular uh, panel itself, to display the output content over here, or any errors which you come across during the execution is also be written over here in this output panel. Okay, fine. So this was about the StudioX interface, and I hope you can relate that this is comparatively much more easier and it's intuitive when you're looking forward to automate any processes. Okay, and in the ribbon section you have the run option in case if you're looking for running the project, publish to publish the package in the orchestrator. We also have the recorder available in the app web recorder section. So in StudioX, in case if you're looking forward to record any certain flow, then you have to enable the settings. So again, we have the separate session for it. We will see it in detail about the automatic recording. Okay. So let's continue with the next agenda, that is building a bot. So I would show you how StudioX is more easier in building a bot. Okay. And in the coming sessions, we will see the different activities that have been used for building this particular bot. Okay. So let's start with the first use case, that is printing an hello world. Okay. So I go back to my UiPath StudioX, go to the home section, go to my blank task. So I create a new blank project for this particular use case, hello world. Okay. I click on create. Okay. Now, in my first use case, I would like to, let's say, take an input from the user, a message, and then display it in the output panel and as well as message box. Okay. So to take an input from an user, we have an activity called input dialog. So if in case you're not aware about this activity, you can just type some uh, random guess like an input, and then you can hover over here and understand what this particular action would do. So I drag the input dialog box here. Okay. It asks for me dialog title. So what would be the title of my box for asking user as an input? Okay. So in UiPath StudioX, we do not have to worry about the syntax or any such coding standards. I go to the plus section, okay, and go to the text. And I just add the dummy text or the free text information required. Okay, and then click on save. I also add the label of my input box. Same flow, go to the plus section, go to the text. There are other options as well in case if you have some text in the clipboard, you would like to paste it, you can use paste from clipboard. You can ask the user on the runtime by choosing this option. Notebook, we will see this in the detail when we talk about our Excel. So let's take the text option. Okay. In the input type, there are two categories. Let's choose text box. We ask user for providing a message. Now, once the user provides the message, it needs to be stored. Okay. So we have an option called copy to clipboard or save for later use. So we know that we are taking an input from the user and then we are displaying it somewhere with the help of activities, right? So I just use an option called save for later use and click OK. So this is a name which will be storing the content what the user will provide. Okay, so click OK. And now to display the content, I will use an option or an activity called message box. So when you see message box, it says displays a message box with a specified text and buttons. I drag the activity, place it after the input dialog box. Now we know that we would like to display the content from what we got as an output from an input dialog box. So I go to the plus option and then choose the used saved value and go to the result from the input dialog box. So this way I am able to display the message what I have received from the runtime by the bot. Now the same I said that I can also print the content in the output panel. So we have an activity called write line that can display the information in the output panel. So I go to the output panel, I drag it and place it after the message box. So I would like to print the same content in the output panel. So I go to the plus section, use the saved value and result from the input dialog. And here is my first automation bot asking a user for an input, displaying it in the message box as well as output panel. To run the bot, I go to the run section and click on the run. So you see the title, the label, and it is asking for me to provide an input. I put a message and then I click on OK. So I got a message box displaying the content which I provided on the runtime. I click OK. And I will also see that I have the status called last run successful. So there is no such errors. And I go to the output panel to check whether it was printed or not. So in the output panel, in the information trace, you have hello world over here. Okay. So this is the first use case which you can automate in a quicker way. Let's take the second use case where I will be interacting with the web application and get the unicorn name. So I have the browser open. My bot is expected to provide an input here, my name, my birthday. Click on the get name. Okay. And then it will fetch the unicorn name from here and display it in the message box. Okay. So do not worry about it. We will see this in detail in our upcoming sessions. So I'll go back to the home button, go to the blank task, provide a name to my task. Since we know that it is an app web browser, so I go to the app web section, drag the activity, indicate the application which I would like to automate. So I click on indicate application. There is a blue window which shows which type of window you would like to automate, and I click over here at any particular point you can click, and StudioX is able to capture the URL from an application which you indicated. Now I would like to type my name, so I go to the activities, just type and I know that there is an activity called type into. Again, I will identify which field I would like to type. So I click on indicate target on screen, select the field, confirm. So we will see this in detail when we talk about our user interface automation, how to capture, what does it mean. And now I have to type in the content. So I go to the plus section, go to the text, similar to the previous exercise. I provide the name. Okay. Similarly, the next activity I have to do is select any such month. So I go to the activity section. Let's see if there is something called select. We have an activity called select an item from a drop down list. Okay, so there is an activity. I drag it here, indicate the target on screen, guide the bot where it has to actually select, click on confirm. And you will see a magic that this particular activity itself recognizes which option to choose. And then I have to perform a click. I go to the click activity, indicate the target on screen again, choose the particular button and perform a click. Okay, let's save it. So let me quickly do it manually so that I will get my unicorn name and I will be able to continue further. So now I have to get the text from the application. So I drag the get text activity after the click, indicate the target on screen and show the bot where to actually it has to grab the data from. Click on confirm. Now again, to save to, I would like to display the content which it has grabbed from the application. So I will use the save for later use option. Click OK. And then I can use message box to display the content. Use the saved value, text from get text. And this way, you will be able to automate this entire flow. So let me quickly run the bot. So we will show you how to indicate the element, what are the different properties that you can set, and what are the other activities that is available in our activities panel for performing these type of automation tasks. Okay, so we already saw that unicorn name was displayed. We will make it more complex in our coming sessions with interaction of an Excel and other activities. Okay. Apart from that, I would suggest you can refer to this marketplace URL and start downloading few other inbuilt or let's say the developed solutions for few of the tasks which is readily available in this marketplace repository, and you can start running the bot and perform these tasks. So these are the different automation use case which you can refer and you can get an idea from to create your own automation processes. Like you can trigger the bot to start certain applications as soon as you open the laptop, or you can set the out of office in your Outlook by help of this bot. So you can go to this particular marketplace, download the solution, and you can see that how it is convenient for the bot to perform these tasks. Okay. Also, you can refer to our Academy portal where there are different courses involved for the Studio X, which will give you insights. Anyone speaking? Please mute yourself. Thanks. So you can refer Academy portal for the different courses which are available with respect to different applications, the PowerPoint, the word automation, error handling. However, we are going to cover all those concepts in our upcoming future sessions. Okay. So let me know if there are any queries. Let us all of know what are the queries for the Studio X. And we still have 6 more minutes. Any questions?
And just to add, we have our upcoming sessions this 27th Saturday, and the other sessions lined up for Studio X, as you see, Excel, Mail, UI interaction, and more on Word, PDF, and Citizen, how to drive at scale. So subscribe to this all courses because this needs separate registration. So you just need to subscribe all these, and you get that link over your email for joining these meetings.
Also, let us know if yeah. Also, let us know your expectations, that what you would like us to cover exclusively. Then we'll try to cover those in the upcoming sessions. Okay. Any questions? Hope it was informative. Yes, we will share the PowerPoint slides in our in the UiPath event page. Okay. So since there are no questions, can we request you all to switch on the videos as well, so that let's take a selfie. We'll know each other, and it will be good to know throughout the sessions.
Yeah, you may stop sharing now, probably.
Yeah, I'll stop.
Guys, feel free to switch on your camera.
Good to see our community forum.
Anyone else? This picture will be posted on social media, so yeah. Ready? Yeah, I'm done.
So we have 3 more minutes. If any question or any expectation you have for our future sessions, so if you can bring that, we can.
Hey Shri, good to see you. Guys, we have other few more 6 more sessions. So in case you have not RSVP'd for that, please do that. And also feel free to invite any of your colleague. Let them also learn Studio X and let them automate their mundane tasks as well. And any question, anything? Shishra, did you get chance to ask any question by any chance?
Okay, so yeah. So I've not yet asked this. Maybe let me publish that. So there is a surprise quiz session in this round. So towards the end, whoever so far listened to us, we will post that. Whoever answer us first, they'll get some goodies. So I'll publish the question. Just maybe you can be ready within just 1 or 2 minutes.
So how you are going to ask the answer? Will you post it on the chat and people need to
I'll
answer?
post in the chat. Yeah.
The first answer will get something, right?
Yes.
Okay. Parth, you will not qualify in case you are still on the call. Yes, Shishra.
Yeah, I'm just tracking. So it's a multiple choice question. You need to answer which is true. It's a pretty simple question. So just be ready with your like focus on the question and then answer. We already discussed this during the session. So here you go. Okay, we got our winner. So maybe, yeah.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Okay, so our upcoming session, this will be similar. So maybe you need to be attentive, and we'll also try to bring more questions also because being more computation. So you will get all engagement and interest towards the session. So be focused, whatever we have discussed.